Hello Marvel Strike Force fans, this is your friend Fast and Comic Guy here, and I'm going to give you a top 10 list of the best teams in Marvel Strike Force. If you're wondering where your team stands on the list, keep watching and let's get right to it. So this is just going to be my personal list of the top 10 teams I think are the best in the game. If it is a team that is not obtainable at all by a free-to-play player, it will not make it on the list. So everyone on this list is actually at some point able to be obtained by a person playing the game that is free-to-play. It might take them a really long time, but they should be able to create all these teams. So if it is a team on here, which I'm sure you all know which one I am talking about, that is not free to play, they will get an honorable mention near the end of the video. But until then, let's start off the list with number 10. Making it number 10 on the list are the Defenders. Why the Defenders are on this list is because they will probably most likely be your very first team that you have created in Marvel Strike Force. Every single character here is very easy to farm. It consists of Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Punisher. Together, they have some extremely hard-hitting abilities and synergy. They are very well used in the beginnings of Arena. You will frequently find a really high-powered one in a war defense room, and they do quite well in raids up to U6 and Blitz. Just like Arenas, they do pretty well in Blitz. It's a good team to have. I like them because, like I said, it probably is going to be your very first team, and that is why they are on here, because your first team is what helps get you started in the game. So that is why they definitely make it to my number 10 on the list. Coming in at number 9 on the list is the Power Armor team, and they consist of War Machine, Iron Man, Vision, Rescue, and Falcon. They are primarily a war offense team. And the reason why I have them on here is because, one, they look freaking awesome. Like, who wouldn't want to be in a suit of armor that basically makes you invulnerable to anything? Like Iron Man, Rescue, and War Machine. Two other characters on the list that are in the Power Armor team can also be used frequently in other aspects of the game. You got Falcon and Vision. They get used a lot in Arena. Falcon also gets used on another team called the Tech Wing, and they are used in the Ultimate 7 raids. So yeah, if you want a good team for like war offense, this is the team to use, because yeah, they will do a really good punch up. Like, there's some teams that they won't do that great against, but for the most part they can pretty much take out almost anybody, and it'll be a pretty decent punch up too. One other thing, they don't do very good in raids, like as a team, like a whole team in general. You really won't see a full Power Armor team also in Arena or in Blitz, but you can still use them in Blitz. Work your way up in the ladder to get yourself more Blitz points. But in that number 9 on the list is the Power Armor team, because they are one of the best offense war teams in the game. Coming in at number 8 on the list, surprisingly, is the AIM team. Now, these guys are very tricky. Like, they are just throwing negative effects at the other team like crazy, and they're flipping all their own negative effects to positive effects to make themselves a lot more viable. They hit pretty darn hard, and yeah, they are just an extremely tricky team to go up against in any aspect of the game, period. So the main character on the team is the Scientist Supreme. You would be using mainly in Ultima 7 later on in the game, but for this team right here, they are just so much fun. Like, they are very tricky to take out, but when you're playing them, they can be an extremely fun team to play with. They do very well in war on both offense and defense. So if you have a great AIM team and you toss them in a room for defense, basically you're probably going to get a few wins with them, because people find it very difficult trying to counter them. And they do a very well punch up when it comes to going against really tricky rooms in War also. Raid wise, before Ultima 7, they actually do very well also because Scientist Supreme will manage to keep everyone alive. So yeah, like I said, AIM, they're super super fun. You're going to have a great time with them. Invest in them if you are able to. The only character on here that isn't very farmable would be the Graviton, but he does show up once in a while in a Blitz time. So yeah, like I said, if you're patient, you'll get a full AIM team. Coming on number 7 is the Shield team. Now, I really like the Shield team because they can be pretty useful in most aspects of the game. They are primarily a war defense team when you have Agent Coulson in there. When you're using Nick Fury, he is great because once you powered him up, you can actually use him for the Dark Dimensions too. He is one of the recommended characters that people are suggested to have when they're starting out in Dark Dimensions too. They don't really do too well right now in Arena, but you probably will see some Shield teams early on in arenas. But once you get to like the end game content for Arena, you'll probably be stuck there. They do very well in raids because they have a lot of good survivability with the medic. But yeah, overall, Shield is a good team to have and invest in because they are frequently needed for like Greek raids. They are needed for the regular raids when you're early on because they have really good survivability. And war defense wise, they are one of the best war defense teams in there. They're probably like number 2 or number 3. They probably are number 2 to be honest. If you want to say like they're number 3, the only reason why they'd be number 3 is because someone would have like Ultron in the second spot. So yeah, Shield is a great team to invest in and I definitely recommend it. Alright guys, coming in number 6 on the list is the Supernatural team. They are an incredibly fun team to play with. They'd probably be a little bit higher, but unfortunately there are 2 main damage dealers on the team that are not farmable, and that is Elsa and Ghost Rider, the 2 headliners on the team. If you have been playing for a while, you probably have the other characters at 7 star or at least 6 star like Scarlet Witch, Mordo, and Doctor Strange. Most likely everyone probably should have Mordo at 7 star just because he is needed for unlocking Phoenix. But yeah, this is just a fun team. They're a very, very hard team to actually count. They can be a hard team to counter in a war defense. They are usually used mostly for war offense. But no, they're just a really fun team. They're a good team. They're a good solid team. They do pretty good in some Greek raids. You can just put them on full auto and just plow right through it. When you're doing the Mystic campaign, they can actually clear the whole Mystic campaign. Like before, the very last node in the Mystic campaign was a very huge challenge for most people because they couldn't get past the Thor character in the game. But once they introduced this team, basically people just powered them up a little bit, and then that node just became super easy to 3 star. So yeah, I definitely recommend the Supernatural team. Like I said, they would be a little bit higher, but unfortunately 2 of the characters are not farmable. And of course, they're 2 of the cooler characters in the game. Especially Ghost Rider. Like, come on, who wouldn't want to be on a flaming motorcycle, right? So, halfway through the list, we are at number 5, and making it number 5 is the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four consists of Human Torch, The Thing, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and Namor. Now, what makes them such a great team is that they are probably the best offensive war team in the game. They did recently also become farmable. Namor should be farmable on February 5th of this year, 2020. And yeah, they are just basically the best offensive team in the game for war. The Invisible Woman is also a character that is used in many other aspects of the game. You can dump as many resources as you want into her, and you will not be disappointed. She is a very valued character for Ultima 7. She does well in the Dark Dimensions as well as Arena. So yeah, like I said, and if you're going to do anything with this team, it is mainly for war offense. But yeah, when you're putting resources in this, you will also be doing it with the Invisible Woman. And like I said, you can dump as much resources into her as you want, and you will not be disappointed at all. You can upgrade pretty much all of her T4s, and all of them are useful. So you can make her up to tier 13, tier 14, use her in Dark Dimensions 3 when it comes out. But yeah, you will not be disappointed with the Invisible Woman because yeah, teaming her up with other characters like say Scientist Supreme, you basically have like a mini Ultron team there because they do tons of healing and cleansing. Coming at number 4, we got the BKT team, which stands for Best Kree Team. So they call it the Best Kree Team because it's basically a big joke. Because at the time, Minerva was the only good Kree character in the game compared to all the other characters, so they just kind of took them all out and just put her in with a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy characters and Thanos. So there are two versions of this team. There is Minerva in all of them, Groot, Rocket, and Star-Lord. And then depending on the situation, you would have Thanos or Vision. Now, if you had Vision, you'd be mostly using it in Arena. If you had Thanos, you'd be using the team mostly in raids. Now, another great aspect of this team is you could upgrade them like crazy and not have to worry about your resources going to waste, because when you do that, all the characters would be going towards Dark Dimensions too. Yeah, four of the 5 characters here are mainly used in Dark Dimensions too. That is Minerva, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, and Star-Lord. That is before you've beaten it once. After you've beaten it once, you probably will take out one of the characters and have Ultron in their place. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of people like to go into Dark Dimensions 2 with those guys ready to go. The main thing, what works great with this team is when you put the T4 ability in Thanos' passive, he's constantly feeding Rocket Raccoon abilities, which makes it so he can use his ultimate non-stop. So yeah, when you have it hit T4 in Thanos' passive, basically you can do Ultimate 6 on auto all the way to the end. So yeah, I really can't say too many bad things at all about this team. They're still very, very viable. They're used in a hell of a lot of the aspects of the game. You can put a whole lot of resources in them, and none of it will be going to waste. So yeah, definitely recommend these guys. So number 3 on the list are the Brotherhood team. A few months ago, the Marauders tag were added to the game, and Sabretooth and Mystique were kind of taken out. But for the most part, we will stick with the original Brotherhood's team for now, because Marauders are incomplete with only 4 members. But Brotherhood still has the 5 if you keep them all together. So Brotherhood are primarily a great offense team. They do awesome in the arenas and great in Blitz. You can use them in war offense also. Not very many people try to use them in raids. They can do maybe 1 or 2 nodes in Ultimate 6, but that's about it before they start dying and you have to start using energy to heal them. They also aren't really needed for the Dark Dimensions. But no, they're a great team because they can do pretty huge punch-ups when it comes to doing offense. Number 2 on the list are the Asgardians. Now, Asgardians are primarily a war defense team. And yeah, I think they are the best war defense team in the entire game. The team is also very well versed in raids like Ultima 6. And they are very fun to play with in Blitz. Now, the only thing I really kind of don't like about this team right now is 3 of the 5 characters are not farmable. That would be Lady Sif, Heimdall, and Hela. And Hela is the main character on the team. Like, you can invest everything you want in her, and you will not be disappointed. Once you get her up to tier 13, you'll be using her a lot in the Dark Dimensions 2 part of the game. And yeah, like I said, this team is just really fun to play. You do not want to underestimate them when you are on a war defense. When you're attacking them, they will be very, very hard to take out. You don't know who to go for first, because it could be Thor, take out a bunch of their offense, or you can go against Hela, which is still a lot of their offense, but it also stops a lot of their healing. So yeah, I really like this team. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about them is 3 of the 5 characters are not farmable, especially since Hela isn't farmable, and she is one of the funnest characters to have and the best ones in the game right now. And number 1 on the list is no one's surprise, but the X-Men. Now, the X-Men are great when it comes to offense. You will be using them primarily in that aspect, actually. You'll use them to take out the Asgardians. You'll use them to take out shield teams in war defense. You will use them as an offense team in your arenas. You'll use them in blitz. The only downside to this team is really that Colossus isn't farmable yet. Other than that, the team is totally solid. You might have some troubles in raids, because once the Phoenix dies, you just have to revive her every single time. But other than that, the X-Men are the best team in the game currently right now. Once you've unlocked Phoenix, you will invest everything that you have into her. Once you do, you will not be disappointed. You can put all T4s into her. You can make her tier 14, use her in Dark Dimensions 2, and you will be incredibly satisfied with it, because like I said, she is probably the number 2 best character in the game next to Ultron. And even when it comes to that, some people say she is better than Ultron, some people say Ultron's better. So yeah, she is definitely the main player on this team, and I recommend, once you've unlocked her, put everything you have in her. And once you got all the X-Men together, you will really enjoy it. They are just awesome. I can't say anything bad about them. They're just a really great team. And they did recently also include Cyclops in the game. So yeah, if you have a lot of money stashed away and you want to use it, go buy yourself Cyclops and see how he does with the team. So a few honorable mentions I have for the game are the Hero Brawlers team, Sinister Six team, Wakanda, and the Inhumans. Now, Inhumans actually would have made it on the list, especially near the top of the list actually, but the reason why they didn't was because Black Bolt is behind a big money wall. In order to unlock them, you have to spend hundreds of dollars on Asgardian characters to get them to 5-star, and even though that would be a very good investment if you're a hardcore player like I am, it's not realistic for a free-to-play player, so that team to me is unobtainable for a free-to-play player currently in the game. So that's the only reason why Inhumans didn't make it to the list. But other than that, yeah, those are the honorable mentions. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button on the left and check out my other videos on the right. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, a good night, and a good morning. Peace.